Hello, welcome. We just started the meeting and we'll be waiting for a few more minutes before we start the meeting or the actual presentation. The recording and the transcription has already started, by the way.
Douglas.
Hello, Tor. Nice to see you.
See you too.
I think you see you often.
Hello, everyone coming in. We'll wait a few more minutes before we begin. It's nice to see all of you. Good morning to the US.
Morning.
All right, I will slowly begin. So, welcome everyone to this GLASSWING community session, this time around the roadmap for 2025. And you might be thinking, why is he saying for 2025? Aren't we almost halfway through this year? And yes, that is correct, but we follow our roadmap follows the financial year of entity data, which runs from April to March. So for our roadmap planning, we are pretty much in the beginning of the year. We have some new faces today participating in this meeting, so I will start out by explaining our roadmap process. Some of you may have already heard this, but I think it's nice to reiterate it every once in a while. And then we'll go into the actual roadmap, look at some actual examples of what we are currently working on, and some other things as well. So with that said, let's look into the process so that you, our customers, are aware of how we plan our roadmap, our releases, and how we evaluate all the input that we get from you basically, and how that comes into the product. So we have, as you can see here in the middle, 2 releases every year, basically halfway through our planning calendar, so to speak, which means around the end of September, start of October, and then around the middle/end of March, as you see over here. The whole process flows throughout the entire year when it comes to idea collection. This idea collection is mainly based off you, our customers' input, as well as the entity data Glasswing community around the world. So, for those of you that don't know, we have approximately 100, a little more than 100 consultants working with Glasswing worldwide, and they work with all of you, and they gather your inputs. They come up with ideas as well based off of things they experience in Glasswing projects, but maybe also regular ERP projects, SAP ERP projects, and that's put into this box that we call the idea collection box, essentially, which we review every month. This idea collection box, some ideas are disqualified, some are qualified, and then we collect all of this throughout the year, and then for each year we make a final list of ideas that goes into the roadmap. We also build a quite extensive backlog each year of things that doesn't qualify for a particular release, but may be added as, let's say, development capacity frees up. All of the ideas, they are reviewed based off first of all, our product vision, um, which is to say our three winning principles: simplification, automation, and governance. So does the idea that we are presented with fit into any of these three boxes, or maybe um, one, two, or all three of them? Then it fits into the strategy of the product. We also analyze towards the market, obviously. What are our competitors doing? What do we see? How do we see the market is developing? What are the trends that customers are looking for? And then obviously um, there's also some kind of objectives. What do we want to achieve with this year's roadmap? Do we want to focus on automation? Do we want to focus on simplification or governance? How does that work together? And then budgeting and resources, obviously. And then once that is done, we basically start building the roadmap for a coming year. And then, as always, as you see down here in the dark blue boxes, we will have hot fixes throughout the year, not only to the two main releases that caters around the roadmap. The hot fixes will be for any bug fixing that may be required throughout the year. So that's the process, and I've reiterated this before in many of our community events. But please, if you have any ideas towards the product, you can send me an email or your immediate Glasswing consultant an email, and then we will happily look at the idea and let you know whether or not it's been put in the pile of ideas to be implemented. And Andreas, can you please make sure that everyone is muted, because I hear some background noises every now and then. So now let's move into the roadmap of 2025. So what you see on the left-hand side of Q1 is what we released with the recent major version, which is 3.7. And then what you see in the middle here in Q2 and Q3 is what we are currently working on for the release in September. So let's dig into the middle part here, because there are already information out there. If you want a deep dive into these topics on the for HANA on-premise parts, then we have a YouTube link we can share with you for these topics. But for Q2 and Q3, we start out with a new core object in Glasswing. So on S4HANA, we have a range of financial objects that we support in the product. And one of the objects we currently are working with is WBS elements. A prerequisite, however, for creating WBS elements in SAP is that you also have a project. So we're incorporating projects into the product as well, so that you have that full flow, the end-to-end process of creating a project to a WBS element. And if I haven't already said so, please just raise your hand if you have a question. You're more than welcome to interrupt me and discuss some of these things. The next topic is opening Fiori apps in the Fiori inbox, the My inbox, as an additional object. So in Glasswing, we have a concept that we call additional objects, where you can run workflows on SAP standard transactions, which is basically to say things that are not a core object in Glasswing. So, for instance, it could be that after creating a material with a bill of material and so on, you need to create a routing. And currently, we allow that in standard transaction in SAP GUI, and we also need to support that in the My Inbox in Fiori. This also goes hand in hand with Fiori notifications. So in the top right-hand corner of your Fiori Launchpad, you should be able to see that you now have Glasswing workflows in your inbox. The next thing we are already working on, and that we are actually quite excited to be working on, is a duplicate check for materials, a standard generic one to Glasswing. And where it becomes really exciting is that this is the first case of which we are working with Gen AI and SAP Joule in Glasswing. So basically embedding large language models and SAP Joule directly in Glasswing. We are already testing out a prototype for this, and I will show you a little bit of what we are doing in this regard in a couple of slides. As you may know, we have a business partner duplicate check already. Currently, it's a list feature that shows you what potential duplicates you may have as you're creating a business partner in S/4HANA. And in what we're talking about here is to make a better comparison feature of, let's say you have 3 different potential duplicates. You can click on each of the lines to compare the data towards each other to determine whether or not it is an actual duplicate in an easier manner, so to speak. The next thing is our sourcing solution. So as you probably know, we have supported purchasing info records for many, many years. But recently, or fairly recently, a year ago, we created a new tab on the material master called sourcing. On this tab, directly embedded on the material object, you have both your info record and your source list. And we are improving the capabilities when it comes to pricing, specifically on this sourcing tab as well, so that you can generate all of the data in one go. So that's what we can expect for the release in the end of September. When we look at the release in March 2026, then we have a little less detailed overview of what we are working on, but we are integrating more use cases for SAP Joule and Gen AI. So ways we can use large language models to make the process of maintaining master data with Glasswing in SAP much simpler. We're also looking on various ways of reporting in S/4HANA on premise as well. And then we are gonna do a revamp of our email process, or not process, but capabilities when it comes to pushing emails to users out of Glasswing. And finally, we have a concept for doing mass creations from the front end that we are working on implementing as a standard feature in the product. So that's all there is to say for the S4 HANA version as you know it today. Any questions or comments from the audience? Nope. All right, then I'll move on to the lower sections here of the slides, which is called cloud, more specifically public cloud. So as some of you may have heard, we are working on a Glasswing iteration for SAP public cloud. This is a complete new technology that we are working with together with SAP and creating Glasswing for public cloud. We are starting out with the product master. We are currently a little bit behind schedule because we have not released our first pilot version as it is indicated here, but we are working very closely with SAP to release this first version. We already have the core principles of the material master in public cloud. We call it the product master. That includes configuration, so field configuration, location configuration, and business rules configuration. Actually, the the rule engine for public cloud is very sophisticated at this point. And then we have workflows and an approval cockpit as well. And so as we release our first pilot version very soon, we will simply just increase the scope of the product master. Eventually, we will build on the business partner scope as well. We will also be looking into reporting capabilities because SAP Public Cloud provides us with yet a numerous new amount of technical functionalities that we can utilize in SAP for standardized reporting and things like that. And in the future, because of the business technology platform BTP, we will definitely also be working with a lot of let's say cutting edge technologies of embedding them in the public cloud version. Any questions to this? All right. Then I will dig into a few of these topics from the roadmap. So one of the topics we saw coming for the next major version is this additional objects with my Fiori inbox. And the request we got from a customer was that we could also open a master recipe or routing app in Fiori based off a Glasswing workflow. So this was the request that we got. And this is then what we have added to the roadmap and are currently developing on. So what you will experience in the future is essentially that you'll have a workflow item like you see here in the middle of the screenshot, similar to other workflow items in my inbox, including regular Glasswing workflows. And you will then have these buttons in the bottom of that where you can, based off a configuration, determine which activities you want to send to the user. So should the user create the master recipe? Should they change one, display it, and so forth? And this is, in its nutshell, what our additional objects concept is about, already working in SAP GUI, but now soon also to be working in Fiori with your manage master recipe or manage routing apps and so forth. Moving on to the next one, this was not listed on the overall chart, but we are always doing small improvements. And this one here is about mandatory fields. So you may recognize that if you're using the dependent mandatory functions of Glasswing, you have a field highlighted in red when something is dependent mandatory. And the ask here was to include this red indication of mandatory fields to be filled out, also with regular mandatory fields. And this we believe is a great idea, also for profiles, by the way. So that is why we are adding this small little feature in the next version as well. And then the final example, which you can already see here, is in fact finalized and ready to be sent out with the next release. We had a request to add a select all or deselect all um, button on the dependencies tab. So for some of you, you have a lot of locations set up in your systems, and today you would have to click on all of them manually. Naturally, that's a bit of a tedious task. So we have added this select all, deselect all button as it was requested by one of you. And so this is just a couple, well, three practical examples of how things are being requested to us and how they are being added into the product. And my intention really is to show you that we really take your input seriously, and we really evaluate all of them as they come along. Right. Any questions to any of these three examples, or otherwise the roadmap? Okay, then I'll move on. So as we saw on the roadmap, we are working on Gen AI and SAP Joule in these days, and we are very excited about the possibilities that that this brings. I cannot show you the prototype today. I can show you how we're working with it and what we are aiming to achieve with the duplicate check, but also all the other use cases that we are working on. So first of all, a very sort of technical and maybe a little bit confusing slide, but in NTT data, there's some very bright minds that have created an architecture to as easily as possible adopt the usage of Gen AI, basically. This means that we, from the Glasswing product development team, have a very low barrier of plugging in, let's say, Anthropic or ChatGPT or any other model that you may know out there, because we simply have to connect a couple of databases in a predefined sort of landscape already existing, and we can then actually start working with the data and embed that sort of functionality in our Glasswing front end. So that's super exciting. It makes it very easy for us to create these prototypes to test whether or not we have something that we believe can work for you as our customers. And just exactly that I would like to give you an example about. So more or less 2 weeks ago, we had a workshop together with the minds behind this technical architecture. And what you see here is basically the conclusion of our brainstorm. So we brainstormed a lot of different use cases. How do we duplicate? How do we check for duplicates on materials? How can we make sure that we avoid having too much safety stock? Or how can we make sure that the way we replenish our stock is at the right level, and so forth? Some of you are working with integrations to PLM systems. So when we design a product, could we in some way or the other make sure that we reuse some small components in order to buy new screws every time when we have something that would already work, and blah blah blah. There's a lot of different use cases around this, and there's a lot of different ways to think about how you can use Gen AI. what we thought about was, well, how does the process of creating a material look like in a daily life? So you look on the left-hand side, you see, well, in some cases, there's an email request to somebody to create a material. Sometimes there's a verbal request by the coffee machine, or you have an Excel file or an email buddy or something where you actually have some data that you could look at. And what we determined was quickly that searching for an existing material in SAP or business partner for that matter is one of the first things that we do. Second of all is we initiate the request of creating something, and a lot of that initial work is free typing because you would have to type in your material description, you would have to type in your global data such as the dimensions and so forth. And we came up with the idea to do a duplicate check for materials based off of this because this is something that historically has been hard to generate a standardized framework to do. And so what you see here is with this little asterisk over here is the duplicate check, what we would call a similarity search towards existing materials in SAP already. Um, and over here on the right-hand side, you can see how we are developing or how we decided to structure our prototype. So we are testing towards 1,000 materials, finished products on descriptions and other dimensions. And it'll basically be in the format of a list where we compare the different potential duplicates towards each other, and we can then decide whether or not we should go ahead and create this material that we are talking about, or if we already have a duplicate in or an existing material in the system that we should use instead. And the great thing about this is that as we do this with some large language models, the framework that we are developing it in is also enabling this for what is called an SAP Joule skill, which means eventually we will be able to be in a chat format speaking with SAP Joule and actually acting on this task of identifying a duplicate similarity search with SAP Joule. So we're super excited about this. The prototype is very promising. We are currently in the stages of finalizing this like front end element and the database calls that goes back and forth to produce a list of duplicates. And yeah, hopefully we can send out a teaser rather soon to show you exactly just how that works. That was it from this Gen AI SAP Joule topic today. Does anyone have any questions related to this? I may not be able to answer them because I'm not a Gen AI expert of any sorts, but I'll happily listen and try to answer. All right. Then that's more or less it from the product roadmap type of things. I just have a little bit of an advertisement and a thank you as we. Oh, Roy has a question or a hand raised. Go ahead,
Hey,
Roy.
hey, sorry I didn't ask before, but on your roadmap, you had referenced Business Data Cloud and Databricks. Could you say a little more about what you're thinking about there and what you're going after?
So with Glasswing, we we already have some reporting capabilities in SAP S4 on premise based off of Fiori Analytics. We have some dashboards that you can use, but what Databricks and SAP Business Data Cloud allows us to do is to in a let's say in a much simpler manner develop dashboards that can report especially on data quality. So for those of you that have talked about data quality reporting with me, you may know that I am of the opinion that if the business rule concept of Glasswing is solid, then your reporting will always show what your business rules dictates. And so therefore, we haven't done a lot of data quality monitoring, but we have rather focused our monitoring or reporting capabilities towards workflows. Do we have bottlenecks in workflows? Where are they laying, and so forth? And then our most recent addition to reporting is our KPI dashboard, which reports on the utilization of Glasswing, so to speak. How well are my rules performing, and so forth. And with especially SAP Business Data Cloud, we believe that we will have an easier entry level with each of our customers to data quality monitoring, because we can simply ask the cloud to create a dashboard to us rather than we creating it from scratch, so to speak. So it's basically just an easier way of reporting for us is what we intend with this. But the reason why it's on the roadmap is because we need to make sure that what we provide in the public cloud is also, that the reporting capabilities are able to read our tables and so on, so that we can actually report on these things. So that's why.
Got it. Thanks.
Good. First of all, we are doing quite a lot. We are attending quite a lot of events these days, and I would just like to thank those of you who attended either the competence forum in Zurich, or if you attended Gothenburg in Gothenburg for the SAPSA Impulse. It's always great to have a lot of attendees out there and to exchange experiences within the master data space in general. So it was just thank you for attending, and I hope you will attend some of our coming events. You may know that NTT Data Business Solutions around the world, we have this conference called Transformation Now. You see here in the list here in where it'll be when. There's a lot of things coming up. The most imminent one being the one in Paris. And so if you haven't already received an invitation to one of these, you should you can reach out to me, or you can reach out to your consultants in whatever country you're from, and you should definitely participate. It's super fun. There's a lot of innovative talks and showcasing of different solutions, which always provides great insight to how other companies are doing things, and potentially how you could do things. We also have, and so just to reiterate, actually, these Transformation Now events, they are not Glasswing specific, right? They are related to all of the services that NTT as a whole can provide. Well, we also have some Glasswing specific events coming up. So in Germany, we will be on the TDWI in Munich on the 24th of June. We are going to have a customer meetup in Denmark on the 31st of October, not the 1st of November, as somebody noted to me. That's a Saturday, and while you love us, then you might not do it on a Saturday. So 31st of October is the date for the Danish customer meetup. And then we will be at the SAP FINOC, a webinar of things, so to speak. And in the end of November, we will also be at the SAPSA Impulse in Stockholm, Sweden. And so with that being said, I am through the content that I would like to present to you today. So before we end the session, are there any questions All right.
Lars,
Then,
is that a?
oh.
I'll ask a question. Is that a
Yeah.
typo? Is that GLASSWING by NTT data, or is that NNT data?
That's the typo, by entity data. Thanks for pointing
You're
that
welcome.
out. By entity data, yes. All right. So that was all for today. Thank you all for attending. I hope this session was insightful for you. If you have any questions, please reach out via email, on LinkedIn, wherever, and we'll happily answer all your questions. And to just reiterate one more time, our roadmap is constantly developing. So if you have any ideas, especially now that you've also learned a little bit about what we're doing with Gen AI, please feel free to send us your input, your ideas, and we'll take it on. Thank you so much, and yeah, have a great day, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world. Bye bye.
Thank you, Lars. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.